Hey guys, welcome back. So now that we've looked into different conditionals that we can use and different methods which Laravel database query builder provide to us and how we can utilize them, we can now move on towards some interesting stuff. I mean, all the queries that we have been running so far were limited to only one table, right? And it was interesting, but, not that interesting, to be honest, right? I know for sure that you want to learn some interesting stuff. That's why you are listening to me, right? Okay, great. So before we move on and start writing the code, let's have a quick refresher. Let's understand these joins, what people talk about. Let's see what they really mean. And let's demystify. I mean, that's what it is all about, right? To demystify these different things that we see, the jargons. Okay, so let's start with the inner join. We've got these two tables, right? We've got users and we've got likes. Okay, great. Now, we want to run a query, and the condition is that as long as there are matching records, and it will be matching on the user ID from the users table, as long as there are matching information, we are interested in that information. But if the information is not matching, we're not really interested in that. And that's what inner join is all about, right? So in layman's terms, or at least in my terms, the way I have learned it and always keep it in my head, that as long as you have matching information between two tables, you can bring them back using an inner join query, right? So let me give you a quick example. So let's suppose number 8, I have got Carl, and Carl likes MySQL. Great. So if you look at here, Carl is coming back, right? And because it is connected, so number 8, and it's bringing back the coding as well, and it's bringing back the MySQL as well. So that's the whole point. I mean, you will have, because Carl is matching up to the coding, but at the same time Carl is also matching up to the MySQL. And if you look at it here, Patrick likes climbing, but Patrick likes code as well. Okay, so what it really means that as long as these two informations are present, it doesn't really matter, it will keep on repeating. And that's where then you can use group by and the other constructs to really or the distinct or the unique values, them kind of constructs to get rid of any duplication that you might have, right? But inner join, in simple terms, bring back all the results back as long as from the two tables, as long as they are they have a common denominator, or a sort of a common attribute that they are linked through to each other. Okay, so let's now understand about the left join. Left join is, in a very simple terms, basically you are telling the database that bring back all the results from the left table, and in this case it will be the users. Along with it, if there is any matching information from the right table which are linked to the users table, bring that back as well. But if you don't find any linked information, then just assign null, right? So if you can see here, Albert doesn't like anything, so he's been assigned null. Same with the Elizabeth. Elizabeth doesn't have any likes, and the same thing with the Jane Smith. Great. So that's the left join for you. Again, if you look at the query here, okay, just forget about the alike, and it's confusing. But let's suppose user is table A and likes is table B. whenever you say left join, so when you say select all from table A, so if you look at it, I mean, if you think about it, table A, or in this case users, is always the first table that you start your query from, and that's why to your left, because you know the way you write English, right? So it comes from the left. So when you mention the first table, it's always on your left. That's where when you say the left join, it will always bring back the results, all the results back from the table A, any of the matching information from table B, and if the table A doesn't have any matching information from table B, they will be assigned the null values. Great, I hope that I've been able to explain it. Right join, exactly the same as left join, but the other way around. Bring back all the information from the table B, and so in this case it will be likes, and any matching information from table A, which is users, and if there is no matching information for the table B, likes, then just assign them null. So if I were to go and say user ID 10, which doesn't exist, and that user ID likes swimming, and you will see that it does bring back the swimming, but because there is no matching information in the users table, it just assigns it null, right? I can again say number 12 with the user ID likes reading. It will bring back the reading because we are talking about the right join. So as it happens to be in the right table, it brings back this reading information, but because it can't find anything for there is no user ID, right? That's why it just assigns it null. Outer join with the union is basically just bringing everything back, right? So it doesn't care. It will bring all the information, the matching information, then it will bring all the other information from both tables, and whichever attribute doesn't have the linked or the matching information in the other table, it will just assign it null. And that's pretty much about the joins really. Okay, if you have any questions, just hit me up in the comment and I will try to explain it again. Okay, now that we have a bit of a better understanding about the joins, let's move on and let's see if we can write some meaningful queries now from our sample database, and we can bring back some results using the joins. So this is the overview of the Sequila sample database schema structure, and we can clearly see that there are some relationships going on, but the one that we should be looking at is the relationship that we have between the staff and the address. So what we will do, we will bring back all the addresses for the staff and we will use the join, right? And then we will also connect the address with the city, and we will also bring the information about the country. So we will basically construct the whole address, and then for each staff we will bring that address back, right? Okay, great. So let's move on. So if we look at the structure here, we know that staff has one-to-many address relationship. So we will start out with staff. We will do the left join. That means that it will bring everything from the staff, even if there is nothing at address. We'll also do the left join from address to the city, and then from city to the country. And that way we'll be able to construct the query, right? So let's do it sort of in two steps. Let's first of all connect these database tables, and then we can go ahead and just bring back the attributes, or the different pieces of information that we need. So we'll bring them back. But just let's start from the staff. So what I can do is I can say from staff as S, and that's a sort of like aliasing the table name. So I'll say bring me the staff ID at least. I'm not sure, and I don't really want to have a look into the tables, but let's see if the autocomplete gives me, yeah, it kind of helps, right? So I'll get the first name, I'll get the last name, and I'll get the email from the staff, right? And let me go ahead and try to indent the code a little, make it easier for you to read. So there we go. And yeah, so these are the attributes that we will select from the staff. And don't forget, we will be selecting other attributes, but for now that will do. And then what we will do is we are going to left join, and if you remember, left join, it will bring everything from the staff, any matching information from there, but if anything is not available there, so it's not going to bring it back, right? But it will bring everything back from the staff. So that's what we want. Okay, so we will say left join and the address, and we will call this as adder, right? And what is the sort of common denominator, or what is that piece of information that they are linked together by? So there is obviously so we've got an address ID in the staff table, so we will just call it staff address ID is equal to adder dot, that's a very funny name, address ID. Great. So if I were to run this, oh, there we go. So we've got two. So that's working, right? Now what we need to do is we need to create a left join from the address so that it can bring everything back from the address with the city, and anything matching from this table, or should I say the right table, it will bring everything back from the address and any matching information from the city. Great. Okay, so what we will say is left join, what was the city? Yeah. As in fact, we will leave, we don't have to, well, we can, we will alias it by C, and we will say that on, and here we will say that address, so there will be a city ID in the address table. So as long as the city ID, which is in the address ID, address table, is the same as the city ID in the city table itself. Yeah. Okay. Great. Let's run again. Yep, it's all working. And the final piece of the puzzle would be connecting the city with the country, right? So let's do this again. Left join, and we will be joining the country, and I will alias it as we've aliased the other ones as well, so I'll just alias it to count. Doesn't make any sense, but now the common denominator would be that in the city table we have a country. In fact, let's have a quick look. If I look at, yeah, here we go. So the country ID is in the city, so we will say that is equal to count dot country ID. Okay, so if I were to run that, great, so it is working. Now what we will do is we will just extract some more information. Now that we've got the connection, all we need to do, I'll just basically give it a bit of indentation so that it makes sense. So let's see what we can bring back from the header that we've called, right? The address table. So if we look at the address table here and look at the structure, so we've got the address and we've got the district and the postal code and the phone location, a lot of stuff. I'll just bring back the address, district and the postal code, right? So let's see. Okay, so if I say bring back the address, and there was the address dot, yep, okay. I like when it gives me the autocomplete, you know, that kind of helps me not to make mistakes. Okay, so then we also need, we decided the postal code, I think we have, yeah, there we go. Okay, now let's have a look and see what we have in the city. In fact, if I were to say, give me country dot city, right, and finally give me the country name, so I think it is called, yeah, country, right? Great, there we go. So we don't have a postal code, but we've got the district, we've got the city, and we've got the county. The country. Okay, so that's our query. And what we will do now, we are going to copy this query, and we will bring it to my editor here, and we will see if we can translate that query to the query builder. Okay, so let's call this customer or staff with addresses, staff with addresses, right? And let's get our DB. We will start off with the staff, and what I can do, I can translate it exactly the same way as we wrote it in the raw SQL, right? And let's go ahead and select the columns. So I'm gonna basically pass it an array. You can just pass it in the select sort of construct as well, and I believe it calls the call user func array, is it? Yeah, so it just gets all the information, I mean all the parameters from there, but I like to sort of pass it in as an array just for consistency, really, right? So I'll ask for the staff ID, and then we have the first name, then we have the last name, and then we have the staff email that we require, and then we have the, we call it header.address, oops, and then we have the header.district, then we have header.postal code, and then we have c.city for the city, and then we have count as in count dot country. Okay, so we will select these attributes, we will left join it first, right? And we will specify which table is it, so we will call it address as a dir, right? And then you need to provide that common denominator, right? So the first, if you look at here, so this is what is connecting to this bit, right? So we'll say the s.address ID is the same as, let me just make this a bit bigger so you can see. Okay, to the addr.address ID. Okay, and I'll just bring this onto the new line. Okay, now again we will go for the left join, and then we will say that city as C, where the address, the city ID in the address table is the same as c.cityid, right? And one more left join. Okay, and this time we are going to go for the country, and we called it as count, and here we will say that city, the address, the country ID in this table is the same as the count.country ID. And let's just order by as well, why not? We will order by staff ID. And we will just simply get the results back. And with any luck, if we haven't made any mistakes, we should be able to get these two records that we saw earlier on. By running the raw SQL, we should be able to see it, results here. So we've got this error, and Laravel is quite helpful telling us. So the column is not found. What's going on? So the postcode, is it called the, no, it's called the postal code, of course. There we go. So if we run it again, there we go. So these are the two results that we were looking for, right? It's just that when you take your time a little and translate it, you know, it's more of a practice thing, but it's also fun for me, right? And so that way you have all the power that comes along with the query builder, and you can construct some really complex queries, and here is the result. So thank you very much, guys, and I will see you in the next lesson.